So, welcome to the show today. Today's guest operates in a really, really interesting space here in Auckland. We have Ken Pereira joining us from Auckland Convention Bureau, and we're here to talk about business events in the broader context for Auckland and the value of a destination brand. So without further ado, Ken, welcome.
Thank you, Dale. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about this. We've supported Blue Ocean, I suppose, ACB for a fair while now. So I'm really keen to get under the hood of your origin story, what it is that you do, and what Auckland Convention Bureau does as well. So take us away. Who is Ken Pereira?
Well, as you mentioned, Dale, so my role currently is the head of the Auckland Convention Bureau. So essentially, the Convention Bureau is tasked with attracting high-value business events to Tāmaki Makaurau and to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And the reason we do that is and we'll potentially dive into this a little bit more further down the interview, but business events are a great catalyst for stimulating growth, attracting investment, attracting talent. Mm-hmm. And there's a few tasty examples that I can maybe share with you on the podcast. But in terms of myself, I grew up in Mumbai, been in New Zealand for about 19 years now, classic trajectory, I guess, for an international student coming into New Zealand. I initially came in to study hospitality, and did my post-graduation in hospitality in the bustling metropolis of New Plymouth.
The Necky?
Which is the Necky, yeah. It was certainly a culture shock, but also quite a dramatic change from 25 million people in Mumbai to, back in 2004, it seemed like there was 10 people in Taranaki. I know things have changed there since, but it was quite a shift. In coming from Mumbai into New Plymouth. Yeah,
that'll be a very, very different environment.
Yes.
So you came in as an international student, yes. Studied hospitality, did the postgrad there as well. What came next? So what happened between then and head of Auckland Convention Bureau?
It's certainly been quite a journey. New Plymouth, I was only there for about 9 weeks, and I moved into Wellington. And again, I guess hospitality as an industry, offers quite a great growth trajectory if you apply yourself. So I started off at the Intercontinental Hotel in Wellington as a part-time waiter in 2005, and now slowly work my way up, trying to acquire new skills, self-learn. Take advantage of any in-house courses that were available. And I spent 6.5 years with the Intercontinental in Wellington. At the end of that tenure there, I was their group business development manager, looking after two their properties in Wellington. So again, good growth across 6.5 years, mm-hmm. From being a part-time waiter to managing the sales function across 2 properties.
And so when did you bridge the gap from windy Wellington to Tāmaki Makaurau Auckland?
I've actually rebounded back to Wellington a couple of times, but I moved from Wellington to Auckland for another opportunity with another hotel brand in Auckland. It was a contract position, so I was only there as a stopgap for a maternity cover for a few months. But then I bumped into, and this segues beautifully into business events, because I bumped into someone at an industry conference and exhibition. Next thing I know, a couple of days after the event, this gentleman reached out and said, "Hey, there's an opportunity with another company here outside of hotels. It's more venue specific, an event agency." They asked me if I was interested to come and join their team. And so that took me down the path of being with this fantastic company called Clifton's, and they manage multiple venues across Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, Hong Kong. And it was exciting to be part of that journey and try and understand. They were quite a tech-focused venue agency. So again, it was another segue into understanding tech. Zoom was quite new then, so we were able to leverage, or I was able to leverage that experience to learn more about technology and the connect between technology and events, and how can you use technology to, make your events even better.
So, business events, for the viewers at home, how do we define business events? What is a business event?
That's a great question. Business events, anything from a conference, a convention, a B2B exhibition. Essentially an event where business is done, transacted, or even strategic, discussions that happen. I mean, if you think of APEC, for example, that's a business event. That's a business event more focused on policy, making policy changes. Influencing policymakers around the world. We have tech conferences around the world. That's a business event. Las Vegas does really well, where they have the gaming side, but they also have they're one of the world leaders in the business events world, because they've got the capacity and the venues and the expertise to try and bring a lot of stakeholders together to come and work towards an outcome. So that's a business event, but also there is another side which is more, leisure driven, which is incentive programs. So essentially what it is as a company, if you've got a sales force, you set a target for your sales force, and your sales force meet that target. Those that meet those targets qualify for an incentive trip overseas. And as we know, New Zealand is quite an aspirational destination.
Yep.
So we've had some success through COVID. We've been able to, position Auckland in that incentive space. So what we're aiming for is a balanced portfolio. So we've got serious business events where business is done, policy is changed, and then we've got the more fun side, with incentive programs where people come in and enjoy the best that Tāmaki Makaurau has to offer. So
you help Auckland compete with the likes of Las Vegas to attract international business events.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Las Vegas is just one example.
Yeah.
Other destinations that do it well. Singapore does it incredibly well. The Middle East is now a force to reckon with Dubai and Saudi Arabia. And then we've also got Thailand, Bangkok do really well. So really, we're competing with every other world-class destination in the world.
Global cities.
Correct.
Wow. So take us through some of the nuts and bolts of Auckland Convention Bureau. You talk about bringing business events in. How? Where do you begin? Who can talk to you?
Yes, and that's a very good question again. We take our responsibility seriously in that we want to try and position New Zealand and Auckland for success. And we've got some world-class researchers in Tāmaki Makaurau that do some groundbreaking work, primarily attached to our universities, at the Auckland University and AUT. So what we do is we encourage and encourage these academics to essentially put their hand up and bid for international conferences. And that we find is a crucial part of our work, is trying and encourage them, but also identify who's doing some groundbreaking research worthwhile showcasing our skill set to the world.
So how does that bidding piece work? So you're working with a thought leader here or a research leader here. Who are they pitching to? How are they trying to? What are the organisations that they're kind of trying to secure these conferences from or through?
So traditionally, they would belong to an international association. So an example would be a microbiologist doing research at the University of Auckland. He or she would potentially belong to the world body of microbiology. And what we'd do is we'd speak to them to say, hey, are you interested to bring the World Congress into Tāmaki Makaurau? There is support available. And we work very closely with our, support agency like Tourism New Zealand to provide some support to encourage that academic to then essentially put their hand up. We work with Blue Ocean to try and put together quite a comprehensive, really professional, world-leading bid document. And Dale, it's not too different to when you look at other countries bidding for, say, the Olympics or the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same format.
Okay.
Slightly smaller scale,
Yep.
obviously, but it's the same. It's the same ethos. You encourage them. They go out. We represent the city and the country. The academic goes out and presents and pitches, and then there is the membership that votes on where their congress will be held. Next time.
And does that span outside of academia as well? I mean, our audience, I suppose, is B2B focused. You know, the business is selling to businesses, whether that's tech, whether that's medical, whatever it is. Is there space there for, you know, say a software developer or someone who's leading a tech space to actually bring, even for ourselves, if we wanted to bring, let's say, the World B2B Congress to New Zealand, is that a thing that the ACB could help with?
Absolutely, and I guess in a B2B context, it's a bit easier, I'd say, or more straightforward. Not easier, but slightly more straightforward, because you could pitch directly to bring a conference into a tech conference into Tāmaki Makaurau. We also, you know, try and align our aspirations with what's the focus sectors for the city. So technology is one that we've identified as something that we'd want to aspire to be world leading in. So as part of those discussions now, we're looking at what other conferences happen globally that we might want to bring into Tāmaki Makaurau.
Yeah.
Who are the key stakeholders? How do we influence them and pitch to them to bring their next conference, now be it Microsoft or Amazon? How do we try and encourage them to come and hold their conference here?
And set up camp here.
Yes.
So presumably part of that is the value and the positioning of Auckland as a destination brand.
Yes.
How does Auckland then position itself against the likes of, you know, Thailand and Singapore and Las Vegas?
Yeah, and it's very, I guess we need to be very aware of what our strengths are, or what we aspire to be. And then try and align content that will enable us to work towards that trajectory. So technology, again, is a great example, because, you know, if we want to be seen as an innovative city and we're leading in technology, not just for New Zealand, but across the world, then we want to try and bring the movers and shakers here to try and congregate, transact business here, but also that enables us, as, you know, business events are a great platform to showcase the destination, but also, you know, that's just one part of what we do. The business aspect shouldn't be, looked at less seriously. I think business has to happen. Certainly for corporate events, we want them to come here and understand that Auckland is ready for business. It's an easy place to do business, and they could have some incredible benefits from doing business in Auckland.
So you talk about tech being one of the areas that you try and push and support. What other flames are you trying to fan? You know, what are the other areas that you push and that you drive for?
Yeah, so, you know, and this is a discussion that we're having now. I guess robust discussions that we have internally is where do we want Auckland to be? Now, what are our aspirations as a city? And you know, again, business events are a platform for us to reach the end destination. So what we do is we sit down with our colleagues in economic development, for example, and try and understand, you know, where do they want Auckland to be? What are their plans? How do we use business events as a platform to try and meet some of their outcomes? You know, whether it's attracting foreign investment, attracting talent, technology, as we talked about, agri-tech. We do incredibly well.
Okay.
You know, we hosted an inaugural agri-tech 2035 Oceania Summit last year, and that was good because it was a corporate event overlaid by government policymakers. So there was something for everyone there.
And there were some big names that attended that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was again, that was an inaugural conference that we invested in to try and encourage the convener or the conference organizer to try and use Auckland as that anchor, and try and bring, you know, stakeholders from the Pacific region, from, you know, central government, local government, to come in and congregate at the Aotea Centre to try and talk business.
It's just really interesting to see how some of those, I suppose, how some of those pillars are gradually moved. You know, and you talk about having this inaugural conference, which is like, it's the first domino.
Yes.
And the fact that first domino is happening here in Auckland is, it's a wonderful thing to see. So, in terms of economic impact, what sort of, How much do business events matter to Auckland? I'm really interested to know to be able to quantify what that impact looks like.
Yes, so we've done some sums just trying to understand in the calendar year in 2023. Now that we're towards the end of 23, just to try and understand, what were we able to deliver, and through 2023, and we get measured by, we sit within the council framework, so we get measured by our economic impact contribution to the economy, and business events for Auckland. We've transacted around 100 million in just 2023. Wow. So that's substantial, and that's an incredible uptick from pre-COVID times. So we've certainly come a long way in being able to position Auckland as a successful business events destination.
That's fantastic, and that's just Auckland.
That's just Auckland.
Wow. So if we look then at the parcel of international business events in all of Aotearoa,
quite substantial.
It's a pretty significant contribution.
It is quite substantial.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's something that we don't talk often as an industry. I think that's something that we need to improve. We've invested in some new technology to try and understand, quantify all of our hard work. Now, how do we now understand in dollar terms the impact that we bring back to the region?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to, on one level it's interesting, but on the other it's accountability, right?
Correct.
It's, okay, well, what are we being held accountable for? What have we actually delivered? Is that a good return?
Correct.
And I mean, $100 million of business and travel and hospitality into Auckland alone.
Yes.
That's no small thing.
Yes.
So you joined ACB in the middle of a pandemic to take up a position that was about bringing global events into a country whose borders were closed.
Yes. Yes, yeah, it's been
that's a gutsy move.
It's been interesting.
So take us through that journey, because that must have had some learnings and some lumps and bumps along the way, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I quite often talk about battle scars.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, to grow, you need to be able to tackle some challenges to try and get those battle scars and wear them with pride, because it shows that you're time tested, I guess. Yeah. I'd love to say that I was asked to take on the position, but the reality is, it was an opportunity. I happened to be at the right time at the right place. Mm-hmm. But the real story is, through the pandemic, I was with another organisation, and COVID, like many people, I was one of the casualties. But it was a good time for me. I had a newborn daughter, cool. So I got a good solid 7 months.
Oh, fantastic!
At home with my daughter, and then someone from back in AT. Then we've since rebranded to Tāmaki, but someone reached out to say, hey, there's a frontline position with major events, and I. Of course, jumped at the opportunity. I'd never done major events, didn't know what it entailed, and got asked in my 3 weeks in to lead the New Year's Eve program for Tāmaki Makaurau. And again, not business events, but it was a great introduction to the world of commercial events, because organising, facilitating, and bringing together content for a New Year's Eve program for Auckland, means there's a lot of multiple government, local government agency partners, transport, for example, but also we've got commercial partners that invest and give us money to try and execute on their behalf. Mm-hmm. So it was a good learning for me to try and manage commercial acumen, mm-hmm. and connecting that with an event outcome. And one of the examples was. Well, I distinctly remember sitting in a room with with TVNZ, and I was sitting there, no idea what broadcasting means. I don't know any of the lingo. I'm sitting there, my background is sales, and I'm just sitting there doodling away. Everyone's talking. I'm supposed to be leading the project, not understanding anything. Regardless, I think we were able to execute on that. I mean, thankfully, I had quite a solid team behind me, mm-hmm. Who understood my challenges, and I was able to lean on them for their support and their expertise. We executed on that event. It was not only the safest event in safest New Year's Eve event in Auckland ever held.
Okay.
It was the most widely broadcasted and viewed event.
Okay.
Of course, we were just coming out of COVID, and I think we surpassed, or we were close to 1 million views on TVNZ looking at the broadcast program that we curated. We managed to get the Prime Minister then to come in and do a message for the country, and we were the first country in the world to have a New Year's Eve going into 2021, because we were going into transitioning from 2020 into 2021.
Yeah.
So we met quite a number of milestones, but that was within 10 weeks of me being there.
Well, welcome to the day.
It certainly was. But then after that, it was there was a role going in the business events division at the Convention Bureau, which is my expertise.
Yeah.
So I was able to then step into that role, and here we are now.
So, are there any sort of standout events that have happened? You mentioned the 2035 summit. Any standout events that have come to Auckland during your tenure, or are coming to Auckland during your tenure?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've again the $100 million figure, I guess, puts in context the value that we've been able to bring back to the destination. I guess one that stands out for me, in addition to the 2035 Oceania Summit, was the IWG Women in Sport Conference.
Okay.
And this was quite a meaningful conference because we were able to program that conference in the midst of, just after the Women's Rugby World Cup, before the Women's FIFA World Cup, and then before the Rugby World Cup there was the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup. So it was a women content, and IWG is an event that was really a powerful force to try and bring back legacy benefits to and also capture all the good stuff that's happening with FIFA and the Rugby World Cup. How do we now try and bring some legacy benefits back to grassroots and empower and enable more, I guess, women sport, and encourage more women to and girls to be in organised sport.
What do you mean by legacy benefits?
So legacy is again, that's something that we take very seriously.
Okay.
When we acquire or prospect a business event, we look beyond just the economic benefits. We look at does it bring real value back to our communities, and that's incredibly important. If we're, for example, prospecting an ophthalmology conference, is there an opportunity for ophthalmologists? Because the intent is to bring world-leading ophthalmology experts for that conference. Yeah. Is there an opportunity for them to connect in with our community? Can they run some more sessions for our community where they can go on and have some eye testing done?
Right.
That sort of example. Yeah. So we want to try, but that's a very basic example.
Yep.
We also aim for it to be quite a long-lasting legacy. With the women in sport, for example, how do we now try and understand the real impact that it's been able to make to move some levers to encourage more girls into organised sport.
So, I mean, when you're talking then about business events, it's not just the opportunity to drink champagne and have nibbles. You're talking about actual lasting impact on the community, but also then, you mentioned earlier on, business events being a space where things are transacted, where conversations are started and deals are brokered. Any kind of standout examples in that space? And it doesn't necessarily have to be here in our own backyard.
No. Well, again, the FIFA World Cup, the Women's FIFA World Cup was a classic example. Yeah. FIFA as an organisation is an association. It's an association, and so as part of that, there was multiple business events that happened. Now they had their AGM and they had other opportunities to engage with their members. But also, let's not forget, like FIFA is a marketing behemoth, and a commercial behemoth, and so attached to that was a lot of commercial relationships that came in, transacted business, and put Auckland on the map. And just our viewership deals. I think there was about a billion views of the FIFA program across the globe.
It was a fantastic event, I have to say.
It's incredible.
Actually, for me, it surpassed men's football events, just with the groundswell of following that there was behind it, and the backing of the New Zealand team. It was It was actually quite a transformational moment.
It certainly was, and now I'm incredibly proud of not just Auckland but the country to be championing in such a major way, supporting women content from the ICC Women's Cricket to Rugby World Cup, and that was such a successful Rugby World Cup, the Women's World Cup, and then we had the Women in Sport Conference that sort of attempted to try and bring tie everything together, and then we had obviously the FIFA and the legacy benefits associated with FIFA are substantial.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. I mean, in the legacy piece, you're probably going to see generations of young aspiring female football players. I mean, my 7-year-old daughter was just wrapped. She just it became a thing that whenever there was a match, we would watch the highlights like over breakfast, and it was a really it was an impactful thing to have happened here.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
So one thing that I find really interesting is that you've come from an international background. I'm not from New Zealand. I've chosen to be here. What makes you choose Auckland?
You see, for me, Auckland is home.
Yeah.
This is where, and backing back a little bit, I guess, I come from an international. Well, my wife's Belgian.
Okay.
I'm Indian. My daughter is a hybrid.
Yeah.
So
a global
Belgian
citizen.
Belgian Indian Kiwi mix.
I mean, dinner must taste amazing.
Well, yeah, certainly does. There's lots of French fries, no Belgian fries. No, my wife will kill me if I say French fries. But yeah, so but Auckland feels an international place. Just like yourself choosing to be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think the population of Auckland is so diverse.
Yeah.
There is something for everyone. But also, I know Auckland really, for me, Auckland represents an incredible opportunity. Opportunity for growth professionally, opportunity for growth for New Zealand. And we truly believe in the power that rests in Auckland to try and attract world-leading content, events, investment, talent into New Zealand. So we really see Auckland as that engine for New Zealand, and we take that responsibility quite seriously.
I mean, it's interesting. We've been up here, and we were talking just before we kind of got the cameras rolling that we've just bought an apartment in the Viaduct, and it's fascinating. You go from downtown Tauranga, which is it's fantastic. Love the waterfront. It's a great spot to be, but then we have world-class people watching. I know that sounds like a strange thing to say, but it really opens your eyes to just that diversity that exists here. And it's actually a reminder when you come and spend time here in the city that this is an international city. And it deserves to be on the world stage for its diversity, but also for its sense of self.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that still stands out to me is that you walk around Auckland, and it has that kind of flair, it has that international kind of vibe to it, but it still feels like itself. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like walking through the airport lounge of just about anywhere where all the shops are the same and you could be anywhere in the world. Auckland has its own flair.
Flair. And it's got its own identity, which is a more vibrant cultural identity. We can see that in the work that our organisation does. I'm fortunate to be part of such a dynamic organisation that, in addition to the work that we do in business events, we sit beside our colleagues in major events, for example, and they program the Diwali Festival. Yeah. They program the Lantern Festival, the Pacifica Festival. We also try and curate event content that speaks to the diversity of Auckland. And you're right, I mean, I love Tauranga, but Auckland is certainly got its own charm. Without being cocky, I think Auckland, it's been through the past couple of years at least. It's been through the washing machine, as I call it. There's been a lot that's gone on, weather events, obviously COVID. The alert settings, we were impacted more broadly, in my view, than some of the other cities around New Zealand.
You spent more time at home than anyone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I hope you're seeing it from the balcony of your flash Viaduct apartment. And now Auckland's got its mojo back, and we're a lot more optimistic and future focused than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that that's a good recipe for success, and I think we're getting there.
So what would you like to see Auckland achieve and business events in the region achieve over the next 5-10 years? What would success look like to you?
Success for us would look like trying to attract meaningful conferences and business events that really add demonstrable value back to the region. Obviously there is the economic metrics and the economic benefits associated with hosting a conference here. But like I said before, the legacy aspect shouldn't be forgotten. Purposeful events and purposeful business events are a powerful force to try and meet broader outcomes. One of the mantras that we have in our team is meet multiple outcomes, whether it is within our organization, whether it's within our city. Now we try and understand what's important. Where it could be commercial driven, it could be legacy driven, but how can we take an idea and try and see where the connection points are and try and attract those associated benefits back into. That's where we want to be. We want to try and obviously we have to be measured through for growth purposes through our economic metrics, but I'd love also to then have a real in 5 years time look back and say, okay, fine, the Women in Sport Conference enabled 5,000 more girls to participate in sport, and that has led for New Zealand being a world-class sporting nation at the Olympics. Something like that.
Yeah. And that must be an incredible journey to watch over time. When you, like you said, we touched earlier on about having some of those early dominoes falling here in Auckland and just seeing the ripples kind of flow out from that.
Correct.
Now you mentioned working with the team and across a different I suppose facets of Auckland and the organisation that is behind that. So are there any? I'd imagine you have to navigate a fairly complex environment a lot of times. You're dealing with public money, you're dealing with commercial and actual legacy outcomes as well.
Yes.
How do you navigate that from a leadership position?
I believe in the work I do, and that makes it easier.
Makes all the difference, right?
Yeah, and if you I find if you believe and really genuine in your endeavours, then it makes decisions easier. The prism of all of our decisions within my team and within the organisations broadly, but certainly within my team is what's best for Auckland.
Yeah.
And is it going to add value to Aucklanders? That's the prism that we have to. We are ratepayer funded, partly. We've also got a partnership program where the industry contributes to support some of our activities. We've got about 120 partners that invest in us being able to deliver some activities. So with that, there is a commercial, I guess, expectation, a return on investment in my team. So we work hard to meet those commercial obligations, but also we have to meet those commercial obligations while ensuring that the decisions that we make are the best for Auckland and Tāmaki Makaurau.
Yeah. So if we kind of just look at like a closing thought here, because it's really interesting to hear, I suppose, the story behind the story in terms of what it is that you're doing at ACB and what it is that you're trying to drive for the region. For people in the B2B marketing community, let's say you want to gather, we'll use an example here. There's a firm based down in the middle of town here. They're one of the world leaders in software for aerial firefighting, which I didn't even know was a market.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's say they want to bring a conference here to Auckland to gather all of the thought leaders in that. Where do they start?
Well, they start with talking to me. Just reach out to details are on our website. Just reach out and we'll guide them through how do we now take this from an idea to executing it. Now we can bring in venue partners. We can look at what other connection points are there. Is there anyone else within our sector that could potentially bring some commercial value in? Or can we connect those dots? Can we put them in touch with some other thought leaders to try and expand their program? And then we'd also work with Tourism New Zealand to try and do a financial feasibility, if that's what's required, to make sure that the project is commercially sound and viable. So there is a number of mechanisms available that we can support with.
But they can knock on the door and say, "Hey, could we?" And you can start that conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Any other closing kind of thoughts and remarks? Are there any asks of the audience who are listening?
Yeah, I think I'm again, hopefully that's come across in this interview. I am a passionate believer in the work that I do. and I truly believe in the power of business events. And it's worth repeating. Purposeful business events are a great platform to be able to meet a range of outcomes, commercial outcomes or legacy outcomes, or profile outcomes. If you wanted to profile a researcher within the academia to try and get his professional profile elevated within his community. Again, business events are a platform. So I'd encourage your listeners to try and reach out if they've got an idea, if they want to try and think about how do we bring an event in Auckland, or even let's start with what's important for you and what's important for Auckland. Is there an opportunity for us to meet and agree on a joint outcome and try and work on a project together?
I've got my cogs whirring. I'm sitting here now thinking about the 2025 World B2B Marketing Congress.
Let's talk about it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it, and let's check back in 3 years' time and see how it went.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Hey, thank you so much, Ken. Really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks for having me.